Okay, I know it's been a while since my first video. That's because I've been trying to think of a subject to talk about to make a video on, and I've been trying for the longest time to think of a subject to make a video on. I think I finally found one. So today's subject is about Black Lives Matter. Now, I've always believed that we should not judge anyone based on the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And, racism is just wrong no matter what color it is. If you hate black people, or if you hate white people, or if you hate anyone because of their skin color, you're a fucking asshole. And that's always been my opinion, and that's the way I've always thought. Unfortunately, Black Lives Matter does not believe that. And what really frustrates me is that Black Lives Matter is being made out to be like the modern day equivalent of Martin Luther King. And that's a bunch of bullshit right there, because Martin Luther King is rolling around in his grave because of the Black Lives Matter crowd, because they're pushing a false narrative while ignoring real problems in the black community, real problems that are destroying the black community. That they want to push a false narrative that white cops are just out to kill innocent, unarmed black kids, and it's like it's just open season on young black kids, and and if you're a young black kid, you need to watch out, because the evil white devil cops are out to get you, and it's a bunch of bullshit. They make it out as if that's the number one cause of all the death in the black community. White cops, and it's a bunch of bullshit right there, and it's a false narrative. Unfortunately, that false narrative has taken hold in this country, and people are just buying into it, and you've got all these people, and you've got all these instances where black people are getting shot, and and they're being pushed by Black Lives Matter as an example of. They make it out as if this is just happening all over the country. They'll just, you never hear of the hundreds of black people getting killed in Chicago by other black people, but you hear, but they want, you don't even know their names. Innocent little black kids getting shot and killed while sitting in their homes by gang members in a drive-by. But nope, that ain't the problem. It's the white cops, and they're out to get you if you're a black kid, and and it's pushing a false narrative. You want to know the truth? Okay. So I'm going to look up Washington Post. Let's see here. Okay, so last year, white people were shot by. There were 494 white people shot by police last year. How many black people were shot by police? 258. So, in other words, the number of white people getting killed by police is nearly double the number of black people getting killed. But the Black Lives Matter movement wants to make you think that this is the other way around. That, that it's all black people. And it's a bunch of bullshit. And it's a false narrative. But people but the SJW regressive crowd wants you to believe this shit. And and if you disagree with Black Lives Matter and you want to expose the truth, you're called a racist, and it's a bunch of bullshit right there. Meanwhile, you know what the biggest threat to black people is these days? I'll tell you who it is. Other black people. And I'm not saying all. That's the thing about about the progressives, right? They always say, well, it's not all black people. No one is saying it's all. I'm not even saying it's most black people. Most black people are decent human beings, okay? And they're good people. And they deserve our utmost respect. You know, if you're a good person, it doesn't matter what skin color you are, you should be judged on, like I said, on the content of your character. And most black people are great people. Unfortunately, you have this you have this out of control crime rate. You have, black on black crime is up like, what, 93 to 95%? But if you bring that up, and you bring up that, white cops shooting black kids, if you bring up that's not nearly as, white cops shooting black kids, if you bring up that's not nearly as much of a problem as, black on black crime, the liberal, the regressives, the SJWs out there will excuse it away, and they'll try to make it out as if it's no big deal, and it's not a problem. And, and they'll point out, well, white crime is like at 83, white crime is at 83 and 84%. Okay, I understand that. Yes, okay, so, if you're, people of the same race are usually going to, if you're of a certain race, you're usually going to kill someone of that same race because they're close by. Birds of a feather. They're not going to go out. A white guy is not going to go out way out in the black neighborhood and kill a black guy. It's usually going to be someone else who is right because that's who they know. Birds of a feather flock together. But let's compare the numbers. For white on white crime, it's 83 to 85%. With black on black crime, it's 93 to 95%. That may not seem like much of a difference, but if you take into account per capita, the fact that, black people only make up like 13 to 15% of the population, and they're committing like over half of the crime in this country, that's pretty awful. That's terrible. That is fucked up. And it's such a disgrace. But, to Black Lives Matter, that's not a problem because why are white people killing each other? What am I saying? White people are killing each other. Black people are killing each other. It's no big deal. Let's just ignore that because it's all the same. It's no big deal. So and they're just ignoring all these people getting slaughtered in Chicago, not to mention other cities in the U.S. where black people are getting killed in an astronomical rate. They just want us to ignore that because, it's the same thing with white people. Yeah, because I can't even step outside my front door I can't even step outside my front door anymore in fear of being gunned down by white gangsters doing a drive-by. I'm just so fearful for my life, right? And it makes me mad. And the pushing that, so Black Lives Matter is pushing this false narrative, and they're not doing any help for the black community. In fact, they're making it worse. And they don't want less black people getting killed. They actually want more black people to get killed because they don't think black on black crime is a problem. They don't really think it's such a big deal because white people are killing each other too. So as long as that happens, more black people are going to get killed, and wait a minute here. Never mind. But and it's just a bunch of bullshit right there. It makes me mad. So, and then the Black Lives Matter movement, the cases they do bring up, the people they hold up as martyrs, the people they make out to be like Rosa Parks, the examples they bring up of black people getting shot by cops, or other instances of alleged racism. It's a bunch of bullshit there because, like Michael Brown, okay? Let's look at the facts here. Michael Brown robbed a store or whatever, and then he attacked Darren Wilson, tried to grab his gun, and was charging after him when Darren Wilson shot him to death. Darren Wilson had to defend himself. You understand? He had to. But no, Michael Brown was just a sweet, innocent little angel. And so Michael Brown is made out to be a saint, and he yelled, "Hands up, don't shoot," which, our own Justice Department under Obama, even they determined that never happened. He never yelled, "Hands up, don't shoot." He never put his hands up in the air. In fact, he tried to grab Darren Wilson's gun and was charging after him. But the progressives, they actually wanted Michael Brown to get away. They didn't even want Darren Wilson to defend himself. They actually wanted him to get away because they're a bunch of fucking anarchists. They don't believe in a rule of law. They don't believe that the law should be enforced. They think cops are pigs. And so they don't want the rule of law to be enforced. They basically want, the entire country to turn it into Chicago. That's their idea of utopia. But to the rest of us, it's dystopia, So, and it makes me mad. And then you've got Trayvon Martin, who jumped Joe Zimmerman, was bashing the back of Joe Zimmerman's skull, into the pavement, and almost killed him. And Joe Zimmerman had to, defend himself, had to defend his life, so he shot him to death. No one's saying Joe Zimmerman is a saint, okay? The guy has committed other crimes, but he had to defend himself. He could have been killed. But no, Trayvon Martin was just some innocent little angel wearing a hoodie. All he had was iced tea and Skittles, and he was just minding his own business when this racist white devil, never mind that Joe Zimmerman was Hispanic, this racist white devil came up and, shot and killed him. and that's a bunch of bullshit. And and then you've got Auden Sterling, who not only resisted arrest but tried to grab his gun at the time he got shot. And then you had Tamir Rice, who had like a toy gun, and yes, the officer was told that that was probably a toy gun, but to him it looked real. That gun looked awfully real to him. And when someone points a gun at you, you could get killed in a second. That officer thought he was going to die. Okay, you don't have a second to determine whether it was a toy gun or a real gun. That gun looked awfully real to him, and he had to defend himself because this kid was, yes, he was 12 years old, okay, but this kid was pointing what he thought was a real gun at him, and he thought he was going to get killed, and he had to defend himself. He didn't have time to determine whether it was a real gun or not. He had to defend himself. So he killed the kid, and it turned out it was a toy gun, and that was a tragedy. But it was the kid's stupidity that caused that death. You don't point a toy gun that looks like a real gun at an officer. You don't do that. That cop thought he was going to get killed, and he had to defend himself. So that was a tragedy, but it was the kid's stupidity that caused that tragedy. And then you've got this Philando, what's his name, Philando Castile, whatever his name is, and he was trying to grab his gun, but at the time he got shot. So you have these instances where the instances that are being brought up by Black Lives Matter, these people who've got shot, they're not very good examples. And yes, I'm sure police brutality. I'm sure police brutality exists. I'm sure there are bad apples out there. I'm sure that there's a problem of police brutality among black people by cops. I'm sure it exists. It's happened. It's been going on for a long time, and it's bullshit. But it's not it's a minuscule problem compared to black on black crime, which is killing people by the hundreds. Especially up in Chicago. But no, Black Lives Matter. They don't want to discuss that because, like I said, black on black crime is no different than white on white crime. Everyone's killing each other. Black Lives Matter. They really should change a more appropriate name for Black Lives Matter would be Black Lives Matter, but only if shot by a cop in self-defense. That should be a more appropriate name for Black Lives Matter, because otherwise they don't give a shit about you. Not only that, but they basically this anti-cop rhetoric, making cops out to be the modern day KKK. Cops are getting killed. Cops who have never who've never made any wrong move in their lives. Innocent cops are getting murdered by Black Lives Matter supporters. Thanks to the rhetoric of Black Lives Matter and the racist rhetoric, the anti-cop rhetoric. What do we want dead cops? When do we want it now? Thanks to that, cops are getting murdered. And Black Lives Matter has blood on their hands. So apparently, cops' lives do not matter to Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, cops' lives do not matter, kill those pigs. That's basically the message. Now, and not only that, but, wait a minute here. Not only do they hate cops, they hate white people too. They basically make white people out to be. Basically, they believe that white people are the devil, and white people are. White men are to blame for all the problems in the world, and they're pushing this narrative. And you've got Yesra Kogali, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's the co-founder of Black Lives Matter in Toronto. You've got her, a few months, like earlier this year, this Yesra Kogali chick, the co-founder of the Black Lives Matter faction in Toronto, tweeted, "Please Allah, give me strength to not cuss/kill these men and white folks out here today. Please, please, please." She actually tweeted that. Did she apologize? No. And yet, we're supposed to believe that Black Lives Matter is the modern day MLK, when it's not, and it never will be. MLK is rolling around in his grave right now, and I could name a dozen more examples of this Black Lives Matter bullshit. With this recent shooting in Charlotte, where the guy had a gun and he was killed by a black cop, not a white cop, a black cop. And he was shot and killed, and he had a gun. He didn't have a book, he had a gun, and so this black cop shot and killed him. And so now they're rioting up in Charlotte over this shit, but, and it's all white people's fault that this happened, even though it's a black cop who killed this guy with a gun. He had to. He didn't have a book, he had a gun, and the black police chief, the police chief who is black, said that he had a gun. Okay, so Black Lives Matter is just pushing this bullshit that it's all white people's fault that this is happening, but it's not. But they want to. But I guess their excuse would be, well, they're a bunch of Uncle Toms anyway. They might as well be white. They're a bunch of Uncle Toms, and it's a bunch of bullshit. So if you don't think like Black Lives Matter, and you're black, your life doesn't matter, and you're an Uncle Tom. So there's that. And it's a bunch of bullshit, and not only that, but racism is worse than it has ever been ever since the 1960s, and you can thank the Black Lives Matter movement for that. You can thank the Black Lives Matter movement. Black Lives Matter movement isn't trying to end racism. They're making racism much worse. Much, much worse. And as long as you have Black Lives Matter out there, you're going to have these white racist rednecks it's giving an excuse to these white racist rednecks to hate all black people. It's actually giving an excuse to people like that. That is pretty shameful. All you're doing is giving your enemies a reason to hate you. You know, and you shouldn't do that. So you have these white racist rednecks. They look at Black Lives Matter and think that all black people are like that. And it makes you mad because most black people are not like that. And it's a bunch of bullshit. And most black people have common sense. But Black Lives Matter has pushed this narrative, and people are buying into it. And so you have these racist rednecks believing that all black people are like that. You know, and it's pretty shameful. You know, it makes me mad. Because they're actually causing more racism instead of ending it. You know, and it just upsets me to no end. So as long as this bullshit continues, you know, as long as you know this BLM narrative continues, you're going to have more this bullshit going on, and you're going to have white people hating black people, and it's a bunch of bullshit. And it's a bunch of bullshit. But of course, you know, the Black Lives Matter crowd, they don't even believe that, you know, you know, they don't even believe that black people can be racist. And they want to distort the definition of racism. They want to say, you know, well, you know, black people cannot be racist because in order to be racist, you have to have power. And racism equals power. And white people have the power and black people don't. Yeah, I guess that explains our president who's black. Yeah, he doesn't have any power. Well, he's not really, well, technically he's not really black. He's biracial, but you get the idea. You know, he doesn't have any power because he's, I guess, black. No, the President of the United States doesn't have any power. No, it's all white people who have the power. And, you know, so that means that black people cannot be racist. You know, never mind that's not what the dictionary says. Never mind that's not what Webster's dictionary says. You know, okay, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, this is the full definition of racism. The first definition, a belief that race is the primary determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. So, and then you've got the second definition, racial prejudice or discrimination. Racial prejudice or discrimination. It doesn't say only, you know, it doesn't only say, you know, having power or any of this other bullshit, but, you know, they want, but, you know, these, you know, SJWs and these Black Lives Matter people and these black militant morons, they want to distort the definition of racism. You know why? Because they want it to be okay to hate white people. Whenever they say that, black people cannot be racist, and they want to, and they want to distort the definition of racism. They just want it to make. They just want to make it okay to hate white people, and it's not okay. It's not okay to hate anyone based on any skin color. Okay? It's not. It never will be. You know? So, so right now, as long so to wrap it all up, as long as this bullshit continues, as long as this hating on white people, and as long as this false narrative about white cops having open season on black kids, as long as you have Black Lives Matter, racism is just going to get continue, and all this bullshit is just going to continue, and it's going to get worse. Who knows? There might even be a race war. I hope to. I hope to God that never happens, but it just might because of this bullshit that's going on right now. And it makes me mad. It makes me sad because bigotry and prejudice is just unacceptable, and and it should never be tolerated, no matter who it is. If we're going to have zero tolerance of hating black people, then we should have zero tolerance of hating white people and zero tolerance of hating anyone unless they really deserve it. So it makes me mad, and I don't know what else to say except that this bullshit has to stop. It has to end. Okay? That's all I've got to say, okay? I'm done.